Once you're done with your sketch, you can get your clay out today. What we're going to be doing is creating a stencil of our letter that fits within the carved out area of your frame. So you're going to need your sketch, you're going to need a piece of large paper for tracing, and then a pencil or a Sharpie to trace with. So you can see I took my letter and I enlarged it big, and now I'm going to cut it out so I can trace it onto my clay. Once I have my letter drawn on, I'm going to go ahead and cut out with scissors. Anywhere where there's an inside part of your letter, you're going to want to use an X-Acto knife. X-Acto knives and mats are located at the front table for any area that requires an inside area to be cut out. When you are cutting out your tracer for your letter, try not to have areas that are too thin where your clay might break. Like this area here is pretty thin and may be difficult when you trace it onto your clay. Our next step is going to be rolling out a thin slab for our letter. You want to make sure that you are grabbing the roller guides that have the light green on the ends, putting it between your clay on a mat, taking the excess clay that's on your shelf already, and just like we learned before, roll this out. You do not need a lot of clay because we are rolling a thin slab. A little bit of clay will go a long way. So make sure it gets completely rolled out to the point where it cannot be rolled anymore. Remember when we did this with our big slab, you had to stand up to do this step in order to get enough pressure to completely roll out your clay. With a needle tool, you're going to lay your tracer on, hold down with your hand, and lightly trace onto your slab. Right, once you have it traced on, use a small knife, which is located in one of the bins with the larger clay knives. Very carefully cut out your letter. If you find that you need a ruler to do this in order to keep your lines straight, if you have straight lines, rulers are located by the windows. Grab one. Make sure you're going all the way through your clay as you do this so that you feel the mat hitting your knife. All right, our final step is going to be scratching and slipping our cutout letter onto our clay. So go ahead and just slip where you think it's going to go. It's okay if you scratch in areas where it's not exactly being added. Add a generous amount of slip to that area. And then carefully slip the back of the letter that you just cut out. Again, if you have like a broken piece, like that just happened to me, that's okay. We can get that all back together when it's on our clay slab. So again, carefully scratch, generous amount of slip on both pieces. And carefully lay your letter where you want it on your clay slab. And once it's in the position where you want it to be, go ahead and slightly press down. Now it's time to smooth out everything and blend in all your edges. So I like to use a wooden modeling tool to blend things together. So all around your edges here, you need to make sure that it's blended into the bottom of your slab so it does not pop off in the kiln. It's easier to do with a tool like this than your finger, but your finger is good for smoothing out any sort of rough edges. Also, sponges and your water bottles will also come in handy for this practice.